So you've been in this industry for a long time, and I was looking at what's happened to the hemp industry since 2018, since it became legalized, and it's gone through some crazy up and down cycles because it looked, I think 400,000 hectares of hemp were farmed in the States in 2019, and that has dropped down to 30,000 last year. What do you think went in? Like, was there this massive interest in it, but there weren't enough companies like yours producing consumer products with hemp?
Belinda, that's a really good question. And I've only been asked that question a couple of times. So I think it is an astute observation of trying to understand what are the undercurrents of this emerging industry. One thing that is, I'll say, particularly confusing about industrial hemp as a whole is the fact that industrial hemp really is sort of this overarching umbrella name for a number of different genetic cultivars that really have different end uses. So, Belinda, when the federal farm bill was passed in 2018, the industrial hemp market as a whole seemed to be massively booming because of this new legislation. However, it was booming under a very specific subset of the industrial hemp industry, and that is the cannabinoid industry, CBD. I'm sure everybody who's listening to this can recall seeing CBD, pop up in their favorite grocery store, or honestly, even a gas station. I mean, CBD has become a very popularized, I'll say, a therapeutic element. But the varieties that are cultivated for CBD are very, very different than the genetic cultivars that are responsible for creating the raw material feedstock for our industry.
Okay.
So when I was at the State House in Idaho 2 years ago, or maybe 3 years ago, testifying on behalf of a bill, there was this farmer who testified, and he said, you're not going to believe this. And I couldn't believe it. The farmer saying that he couldn't believe it himself. I made $20,000 an acre growing for CBD. Now, if you compare that to other commodity crops that range from $800 to $2,000 per acre, $20,000, I mean, that's a huge financial opportunity and very lucrative. So farmers rushed to cultivate CBD, not and I don't want to say that it's the fault of the farmer, because I think there's so many other factors at play, but they saw this opportunity and maybe they were promised offtake agreements. Well, it resulted in a massive oversupply of the raw material, which really is the flower from industrial hemp. So CBD, while I think it certainly has its uses and isn't appropriate in some regards, is kind of over here on one side of the aisle, whereas we're on this other side of the aisle that is what's called fiber and grain. Fiber and grain, the genetic cultivars that have been bred over many, many years to grow tall, to produce seed, to produce thick stalks. Those are the materials in which we can take, process, and then turn into building materials.
So all their oversupply, you couldn't just use their stock to make hemp oil. You had to use a different type of plant.
Yes, exactly. And to just not to get too technical, there are means to mechanically decorticate, or decorticate means to separate CBD stalks. And so there is some potential there in the waste stalks that are really getting burnt. However, it produces a lower quality fiber, a lower quality herd, and is much more difficult to separate than the purpose grown varieties of fiber and grain. So yeah, a bit of a difference there.